We live in a time of unprecedented distraction, where manipulation is no longer an art reserved for kings and queens, but a daily activity executed through likes, filters, outrage, and illusion. The battleground is no longer the court or the council chamber. It is your mind, your phone, your relationships, your sense of self. In today's world, the man who does not know himself becomes a puppet, and there are no strings more subtle, more dangerous than the ones we tie to ourselves. Our insecurities, our unresolved traumas, our desire for validation, these are the handles manipulators grip when they wish to steer us. But I tell you this, you cannot manipulate a man who knows himself. The age of outer control. Let us first understand the times we live in. Society rewards conformity cloaked in the illusion of individuality. You are told to be authentic, but only within the confines of what is algorithmically accepted. You are taught to think critically, but not too critically, lest you offend. You are promised empowerment, so long as your expression serves the agenda of the moment. The modern man is constantly under siege, by advertising, by social pressure, by misinformation, and by his own undisciplined emotions. Everything is designed to provoke a reaction, to extract energy, time, and money. In such a climate, the man who does not know himself becomes a battery, feeding systems that do not serve him. The manipulators of old wore robes and crowns. Today, they wear tailored suits, seductive smiles, and sometimes even the face of love. They appeal not to reason, but to desire, not to discipline, but to dopamine. But what is manipulation, if not the exploitation of what you do not understand about yourself? The power of self-knowledge. To know oneself is to reclaim sovereignty. Most people think they know who they are. They can list their preferences, their style, their affiliations. But this is surface identity, the mask, not the man. True self-knowledge requires a descent into the underworld of your own psychology. It is not easy. It demands that you interrogate your wounds, trace your patterns, and unearth the hidden scripts that drive your behavior. It requires radical honesty about your fears, your vanity, your need to be needed. Only then can you say, "This is who I am, not who I pretend to be." And once you truly know yourself, the hooks of manipulation fail to sink in. When you are aware of your thirst for admiration, the flatterer has no power. When you understand your fear of abandonment, the emotional manipulator loses their leverage. When you've faced your own darkness, no critic or enemy can weaponize it against you. The man who knows himself is like a fortress whose gates cannot be breached from the outside. The modern weapons of manipulation. Let us speak plainly. Today's tools of manipulation are digital, emotional, and psychological. The influencer who sells you insecurity disguised as lifestyle. The partner who uses guilt to bend your will. The employer who dangles purpose while extracting labor. The political leader who feeds on fear to gain your allegiance. These forces only succeed when the target is disconnected from himself. Social media, for instance, is not evil in itself. But when you do not understand your hunger for attention or your fear of irrelevance, it becomes a prison you decorate with curated moments. You are no longer living, you are performing. In love, you are told to be vulnerable. But without discernment, vulnerability becomes a gateway to emotional exploitation. The man who knows himself does not wall off his heart, but he does not hand it to someone who has not earned it. Even in career, we are seduced by titles and accolades. But self-awareness protects you from climbing ladders that lean against the wrong wall. You don't chase success, you define it. And that definition is yours alone to make. Cultivating inner sovereignty. Self-knowledge is not a one-time epiphany. It is a daily discipline. You must study yourself as you would study a complex character in one of my books. Observe your triggers. Examine your attachments. Question your beliefs. Pay attention to how you respond under pressure, in conflict, in failure. Develop solitude. Learn to be alone without being lonely. The more time you spend with your own thoughts, the less susceptible you become to the noise of the world. Read deeply, not just to gain information, but to wrestle with ideas that challenge your assumptions. Study history, philosophy, psychology. Know how people think, know how you think. Practice emotional alchemy. Learn to sit with anger without being consumed by it, to hold desire without being led by it, to experience pain without becoming a slave to it. Above all, define your values, not what is trending, not what others expect, but what you will live and die by. This is how inner sovereignty is forged. There is a particular type of man who terrifies the world, not because he wields brute force or commands armies or exerts influence through fame. No, his power is far more subtle and far more threatening to those who traffic in illusion. He is the man who cannot be manipulated. In a world intoxicated with control, he is immune. In a society driven by ego, he is indifferent. And in a marketplace that sells distraction, he is focused. He sees the game. He knows the players, but he does not play unless he chooses. This man is not born. He is forged through fire, solitude, rejection, and relentless observation. He is not lucky. He is disciplined, and he is not cold-hearted. He simply refuses to be ruled by emotions he has not mastered. This is the man who couldn't be manipulated. The Great Manipulation Game. To understand this man, you must first understand the world that seeks to shape him. We live in an age where manipulation is the norm, not the exception. The tools have changed. Where kings once used swords and decrees, now it's algorithms, narratives, and emotional engineering. The battlefield has shifted from the court to the comment section, from the pulpit to the push notification. Modern manipulation is psychological warfare masked as convenience. It flatters your ego while enslaving your attention. It promises connection while eroding authenticity. It seduces you into expressing yourself so it can sell you back to yourself. Most men are unaware of the game being played. They live in reactive cycles, triggered, addicted, overexposed. They consume media not for understanding, but for identity. They believe what feels true, not what is true. They confuse virality with virtue. And because they do not know who they are shaped by who others need them to be, but not him. The anatomy of the unmanipulable man. The man who cannot be manipulated does not merely resist the world's attempts to control him. He transcends them. He is not guided by impulse, but by intention. He is not addicted to attention because he finds purpose in solitude. He is not swayed by fear because he has made peace with discomfort. And he is not seduced by praise because he knows that flattery is simply softened control. How did he get this way? He studied himself with the same obsession the world studies others. He traced his insecurities to their source. He uncovered the ghosts of childhood wounds, the scars left by betrayal, the quiet cravings for validation, and he did not flinch. He understood that every unresolved emotion was a string someone else could pull. So he cut the strings, one by one, patiently, quietly, ruthlessly. He watched how people use guilt as a leash. He refused to wear it. He observed how society defines masculinity through consumption and dominance. He rewrote the definition: discipline, sovereignty, and impact. He noticed how trends were simply groupthink in disguise, and how outrage was the easiest form of manipulation, because it required no thought, only reaction. And so, he became still. And in stillness, he found power. Modern tactics versus timeless mindset. The manipulators of today are not Machiavellian in appearance. They smile, they entertain, they empathize. But underneath, they seek to extract time, money, allegiance, obedience. They use subtle fear of missing out, of being alone, of being unseen. They offer false identities: activist, alpha, intellectual, victim, savior. They appeal to your ego, your wounds, your tribe, your weakness. But these tactics fail against the man who has mastered self-awareness. He cannot be seduced by labels because he knows who he is without them. He cannot be baited into outrage because he recognizes emotional bait. He cannot be rushed because he moves at the speed of strategy. He cannot be dominated because he has already wrestled with his inner tyrant and won. You cannot manipulate a man who no longer fears isolation, who no longer needs applause, and who no longer confuses feeling powerful with being powerful. This man does not resist control out of rebellion. He simply sees through it. And once you see the strings, you are no longer the puppet, his presence in society. So what happens when this man walks among us? He doesn't shout. He observes. He listens deeply, not just to words, but to motives. He leads without needing followers. His energy repels the fake and magnetizes the real. He speaks truth not for attention, but as a form of clarity. He is not interested in being understood by the masses, only in understanding himself. He is dangerous to systems that rely on conformity. He is disruptive to relationships based on emotional leverage. He is immune to culture wars designed to divide and distract. He is hard to love for the wrong reasons and easy to trust for the right ones. In a world that thrives on chaos, his inner order becomes a weapon. The path to becoming this man. This man is not a myth. He is not a fantasy reserved for the elite. He is the potential within every man willing to look inward and face himself. To become this man, you must first accept a painful truth. Most of what you believe about yourself was taught to you by people who needed you to be weak. Parents who didn't heal, lovers who couldn't love, teachers who never saw you. A society that profits when you doubt yourself. You must strip all of that away, every illusion, every projection, every false identity. Then you must rebuild, not from ego, but from essence. Study yourself, journal with brutality, sit in silence, choose discipline over dopamine, choose truth over comfort, seek solitude, not to escape the world, but to master yourself before engaging it. Read ancient philosophy, read modern psychology, and then watch people, not to judge them, but to see the patterns, to understand how need becomes a trap, how seduction masks control, how fear shapes behavior. Once you understand the game, you are no longer a piece. You become the player, the strategist, the unmoved mover, the final word. The man who cannot be manipulated is not perfect. He is not invincible, but he is free. Free to think, free to act, free to love without losing himself. He has made peace with uncertainty. He has embraced the long war with the self and emerged victorious. You can offer him sex, status, spotlight. He will not bend. You can threaten him with rejection, ridicule, or ruin. He will not flinch, because he has already seen what's on the other side of fear, and it is nothing. He is the man who walks through the fire untouched. Not because the fire is not hot, but because he carries no illusion to burn. Be that man, or be the one who is played. The choice, as always, is yours. Thus remember, we are in Deceptor.